Hey, what's going on, chat? Welcome to another Dre Next Door stream. Appreciate us stopping by, coming through, showing some love. I always appreciate that for sure. But right before I start the stream off, I was talking to my viewers the other day from my last stream, and they talked to me about the problems, about mental health issues that they have going on, and depression that they're currently going through, and just how they sometimes, not sometimes, but how they've been lately using streaming or coming to watch other people stream as a kind of like an escape from the reality of like what's going on with them in their personal life. You know what I mean? And how we had a long, brief conversation, man. It was kind of heart touching and really heartwarming. You know what I mean? To hear their perspective, like what they had going on and stuff like that. And because me personally, also gave my perspective to and gave my personal things that I'm also battling to as well. You know what I mean? I'm not battling a lot right now, you know, but I also like share with them my experiences that I had going on too as well. Mental health and depression. I feel that's a big thing right now going on. There's a LSU football player recently that just took his life, and he was a like top wide receiver too for LSU, and was more than likely to be a top receiver in the draft, well, this coming draft. You know what I mean? Which is really sad to even see something like that happen. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to come over here and talk about it a little bit before I start my stream off, man. Like I said, I was going to the other day, because I've also like, uh, I'm sorry, chat. I'm just like, this is a lot to take. This is a lot that like I'm carrying right now mentally, but it's alright. I just feel like I should share my experiences. You know what I mean? Share my story with my chat and people who's watching, other people that could be watching as well. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, my experience with that, man. I used to be really depressed. You know what I mean? I've been through a lot, man. My childhood, I moved around a lot. You know what I mean? I was in situations that like kind of traumatized me to this day as a grown man. That I still have to like learn to forgive myself, learn to tell myself that it's okay. You know, man, you can't control everything. You can only control what you can, and do the best from that. You know what I mean? So along the lines of my life growing up, until now, I've recently just now had to kind of like be open with my family about what I was going through, because as a man, like we don't really talk about this much, man. Like as us men, I feel like we're always constrictive from boundaries of looking soft or looking weak if we even talk about our emotions, or if we even talk about what we have going on about mental. You know what I mean? And I guess a lot of us kind of naive to that sexual limitation, because I've learned over time that it's okay to open up with your family. It's okay to open up with your loved ones. You know what I mean? Because just say that you take your life, man. You're not really too sure who you, who you're really hurting. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it comes down to like it's bigger than you. You know what I mean? Like there's people that actually does love you and actually do care about you. Because there were times where like over a few years ago, I was in a really dark place, and no one really knew about it because I would just walk around with a smile on my face, just hoping that it kind of covers what I really had going on the inside. I was always ashamed to express how I was feeling. I was always ashamed to say what I had going on. I was always ashamed to even try to reach out for help. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of glad I did, to be honest with you, because there was one point in time where like I was just cutting myself. It was just let's just like now it's just like wow, I can't believe I'm really doing that. You know what I mean? Because I was a really good athlete. Well, I'm still a good athlete, I suppose, but I always kept things close to my chest. I always closed myself off to people, you know what I mean? And then whenever I go into public, I would always just smile, laugh, you know what I mean? While behind the scenes, I was battling really hard, you know what I mean? Like I was just saying, like I was cutting myself, you know what I mean? My thighs, like there was a point in time where like I would never wear shorts. I would never wear shorts. Anything that came above my knees, I wouldn't wear it just because I was just so ashamed of like showing my true self and like showing the pain that I was going through. You know what I mean? To the point where like, you know, little while, well, a couple of years ago, I want to say, I tried to this is kind of hard to say. I'm not used to doing this, but I tried to hang myself. You know what I mean? Like I was this close. You know, I felt like everything was just at a loss. There was no coming back from what I was dealing with. There was no bright side to anything. There was no green grass. You know what I mean? So I tried to hang myself. You know, and what honestly stopped me from doing that was a very close family relative calling me, you know what I mean, apologizing, you know what I mean, for the things I had to go through in my childhood, leading up to now, you know what I'm saying, and how, like, I'm not alone, and how I shouldn't have to feel alone, you know what I mean, and how, like, I'm loved, you know what I mean. And at that point in time, I felt like I wasn't really loved at all. I felt like no one really loved me, you know what I mean, not even God himself. And it's like, it got to a really bad point, you know, when you start questioning God if He loves you or not. You know what I'm saying? But I've had to learn from those experiences. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the relative calling me. You know what I mean? Right before or right during when I was tempted to take my life. You know what I'm saying? Had to remind me that I have sisters that loves me. I have a brother. I have brothers that loves me. I have friends, you know what I mean, that loves and cares about me. Even though we don't reach out and talk every day, they still love me, you know what I'm saying? They still care about my existence, you know what I mean? And that played a real big part into my depression, you know what I'm saying? It's just because I just felt like at that moment of time, I would much rather live, I would much rather live to see them continue to love me rather than just take my life, you know what I mean, and just hurt everyone around me that does love me. You know what I mean? I just couldn't see that at the time because I just felt like I was in such a dark place. I just felt like everywhere I looked around was just dark, it was just darkness and darkness and darkness. You know what I mean? So that was really hard for me, you know what I mean? But I've came a long way from that. Like after that experience, man, I've came a long way from that, you know what I mean? Like I have my moments of like I feel sad, you know what I mean? But I've learned that like there's certain things that you can do, and certain things that you can say when you're feeling like that. You know what I mean? Like a big thing that you can do, big thing that you can do it's called the 1800 hotlines, the 1800 suicide hotlines, the 1800 bully lines. There's a list of 1800 lines that you can call whenever you're feeling like that, just in case. You know what I'm saying? And I'll also have that dropped in my bio on my Twitch as well. So whoever needs it, you know what I'm saying, they can go to that as well. But also you can reach out to me too. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm going to understand everyone's personal experiences, but I'm also gonna do the best I can to relate to those personal experiences and let you know that like I am here for you. You know what I mean? You're never alone. You know what I'm saying? So just given that, you know, you don't have to feel alone when you're sad. You don't have to feel wrong for how you're feeling. It's okay and it's gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying? So it's what helped me get through me feeling like that almost every single day was a love and support for my family and for my friends who I thought that didn't have my corner. You know what I mean? And that makes me, and that point in time, it really broke my heart because I felt like I was kind of naive to that point that like I was sitting here telling myself that no one loves me, no one cares about me. It's just me, you know. But I had to learn from my struggles, you know what I mean, and almost taking my life itself that it's okay, you know what I mean. Like there's people here that wants to see you happy, you know what I mean? And like another thing is that it's okay that you can't make everyone happy, you know what I'm saying? And that's something that was kind of like taking a toll of me too, you know what I mean? Because I'm a type of person that I want to see everyone happy. I want to do the best I can to make sure that they're happy, you know? But I had to learn, you know what I mean, that it's okay, you know what I mean? In the world that we live in, everyone's not going to have your best interest. Everyone's not going to want to see you happy. Everyone's not going to see you shine, and you know what I mean? And that's okay. You know what I mean? That's just the unfortunate part of the world that we live in. You know what I mean? But it's all about just being there for yourself. You know what I mean? Making sure that you're okay. Because at the end of the day, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, you have to really tell yourself, you know, that that you have your family in your corner. You know what I mean? And there's people that wants to be there for you if you allow them to be there for you. You know what I mean? And they say prayer works, man. That's a true thing. That's a real true thing, man. You know what I mean? Because like I was saying earlier in this video, well, in the stream, I was just saying about how I used to question God Himself, you know. But when I really started like opening myself back up to my family, and to my friends, or my close friends, and stop like closing everything off and stop being secretive, you know, I started to see little changes that got better over time. You know what I mean? When I started praying more, when I started having faith more, you know what I mean? When I started relying on my support more, you know, which is also a big thing. Your support system is also very key, you know what I'm saying? So when I started doing those things, you know what I mean? I started seeing little positive changes in my life, you know what I mean? Little bits and pieces here and there, you know what I mean? I started waking up every morning, you know what I mean, with more better feeling about myself. If not a big difference, if not just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So it's okay, you know what I mean? I feel like we're all as a whole going through this together. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter if you're in Japan, doesn't matter if you're in California, doesn't matter if you're in North Dakota. North Dakota. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Doesn't matter if you're in North Dakota. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to feel the way that you're feeling, and it's okay. And it's also important to know that there's people here for you. You know what I'm saying? Even my viewers, if you feel like even after this, even after seeing this, you feel like you have no one that's there for you, always reach out to me. You can reach out to me as well. You know, I'm pretty busy, so like, please don't feel any type of way if I don't get back to you as quick as you want me to. But just know I will. Like that's my promise. You know what I'm saying? I will get back to you, and I will also, like I was saying earlier in the stream, I will also share my experiences with you as well, and let you know that I am also here. I'm also know how you feel, and I can also relate to you. You know what I mean? I can also help with whatever that may be. You know what I mean? So like, I just want to like, I guess, finish this off by saying that always, keep God first, man. Like I know it might be hard. I know that there might be times where you might not be able to see that, or might not even be able to feel that. You know what I mean? And it's all about a mental thing. But just know that, man, God is always watching over us, man. He's always there listening to us. No matter if you can't see it or feel it at that moment in time. You know what I mean? Because it's like they say, it's like my grandmother also used to say, you know, he's not there when you want him to be, but he's always there when you need him to. You know, and that's a very true statement. You know what I mean? Please, man, please keep God first. You know what I'm saying? And also, please keep your family in your circle too, man. That's very important, you know what I mean? Because one thing I've had to learn is like, you know, when you're so secretive and you close off, understandably so, you know, it makes it harder for people to be there and support you and know what's really going on, you know what I'm saying? And that's one thing I've had to like kind of work through, you know what I mean? Because if you know me, you know what I mean, I'm always laughing, I'm always smiling, I'm always giving, I'm like the goofy friend in the group, you know what I'm saying? But that's mainly because I've been so used to keeping everything inside of me because I was so afraid of how I would be judged. You know what I'm saying? But I've now known that like it's okay to feel the way that you're feeling. It's okay to share the experiences that you've been through. You know what I mean? It's okay to allow your friends and your loved ones to be there for you and to support you. You know what I mean? So, whew. No, I'm sorry, Chad. I took a little wind for a second because that's kind of emotional for me to say because I never really shared nothing like that at all. Besides with my family, you know what I mean. So like I was saying, just always keep God first. You know what I mean. Keep your support system second as well, but not second or first. It doesn't really matter. They're both are very essential and very important, man. You know what I'm saying? So God, family, and yourself is very important. And please, man, I ask you just to keep those things important. You know what I mean? Whenever you feel like there's a dark cloud hanging over you and there's no way out or there's no light near, you know what I'm saying? It always is. You know, you just gotta keep your faith. You just gotta keep your faith, man. You know what I mean? Whenever you're feeling down, whenever you're feeling sad, or whenever you're feeling judged, you know what I mean? It never hurts, just to get down to your knees and just pray to God, you know what I mean? And He'll be there for you. I promise. He'll be there for you. The people that love you will be there for you, and I'll also be here for you as well. So please keep that in mind, you know what I mean? So I appreciate whoever listening to this, and I hope whoever listening to this, it helps them in any way that it can, you know what I mean? And I love y'all, I really do, you know what I mean? So I just want you to know that you love, that you cared about. There's always a way out. I promise you. I promise, man. I promise. But okay. But thank you guys for listening to that. I'm sorry I probably took so long talking about that, but I feel like that was very important to talk about. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I feel there's a lot of like mental health and depression and suicides going on right now. You know what I mean? So I feel like now the time to talk about it is kind of important, more important than ever. You know what I mean? So I hope that me sharing my personal experience and my personal feelings and what I've had to deal with and the trauma that I'm still like currently trying to heal and work on relates to whatever you guys have going on too. It can, like I was saying, it can help in any way that it does. You know. So I appreciate y'all for listening. Thank you, and let's get this stream started.